Another team that is going to be in the All-Ireland Club semi-finals is Dunloy. They beat Slaughtneil by 212 to 16 points. Luke, this is a huge victory for Antrim hurling. I mean, it's a first Ulster title in 13 years for Dunloy. They did it without Paul Shields and Conor McKinley. I mean, against the Slaughtneil side that everybody was talking up again as going to retain their Ulster title, especially that they were knocked out of the football. Now the likes of Brendan Rodgers and Shane McGuigan and the McCaigs could just focus solely on the hurling. But they've been taken out now by the Antrim men. 2 first-half goals that set them on their way and they never looked back.
Yeah, look, to be honest, I was surprised by this one a little bit, and that I suppose, look, this kind of fixture has been a kind of a common theme up in Ulster the last few years. That Dunloy have won a few up in Antrim, and then they have never been able to get over that Slaughtneil challenge, I suppose. And last year, I thought, with the way they were moving in Antrim, I thought Dunloy were absolutely flying, and I thought they had a great chance of taking them. And then Slaughtneil last year just had too much for them, I suppose. And I was kind of thinking that the same thing would maybe happen this year, that I thought that Slaughtneil's kind of just their know-how and their experience of winning Ulsters and getting through games as well. And look, you mentioned the players they have up there as well. I really thought that Slaughtneil would have enough, because bear in mind, last year you could say that the team, other than Ballyhale, of course, the team that tested Ballygunner the most out of anyone last year was Slaughtneil. And look, to be honest, I think it was only 2 points that finished in the end. That game in Parnell Park, that was an absolute war. And look, Ballygunner were absolutely, like, I think, as Hutchinson said himself, that they felt blessed to get out of that game because they were really, really pulling under pressure. So I really thought that Slaughtneil had a great chance of kind of even they'd be looking at St. Thomas's in the next round. I thought that they would have been targeting an All-Ireland final this year as well. So for Dunloy to kind of go in against the odds as well, and to I suppose to get that victory as well, I think most people would have probably been betting against them. Look, it's an absolutely huge victory for them and for Antrim hurling as a whole.
Yeah, and no doubt there were some key moments in this game, starting with the 8th minute, a free goal for Dunloy. I mean, I don't know what really was going on with the Slaughtneil goalkeeper. And then just before half-time, Owen McFerrin boomed the clearance for Dunloy all the way down, fell to Nigel Elliott, scooped it up, and he buried it past O'Doherty. More of a place-style finish, but a fantastic finish. Not only the goals, but the timing of the goals, I thought, for Dunloy was crucial, because the first one got them off the mark with a great start within the first 10 minutes, and then the one just before halftime would have knocked the stuffing out of the Derry champions, going in at halftime before their team talk. I mean, how do you motivate the troops after you've been hit with a sucker punch like that just before the interval? And I thought Slaughtneil, in the last 10 minutes, they looked rattled, 4 wides in the last 10 minutes. They were losing their composure a little bit. So not only the way that Dunloy struck, but the timing of it, I thought, was crucial.
Yeah, looking at that, I think that was the key point as well, is that in the second half, the wides as well for Slaughtneil, and that for a team that got over the line so much as well, that they did seem kind of, I don't know, nervous by the occasion or whatever it was as well, and maybe they were rattled as well. But look, it was just kind of uncharacteristic, I suppose. And look, it was a kind of an attritional game as well, I suppose, low enough score and just a real battle as well. And look, I think in those kind of conditions as well, that's where Slaughtneil have usually thrived and stuff, and played games in those type of conditions and tough enough winter pitches as well. And that's when they've seemed to be so good. So like, it's an absolutely huge achievement for Dunloy. And look, some of those players that are on that Dunloy side have become kind of key players for Antrim recently as well. Like, you look at the two Malloys anyway, particularly Keelan for Antrim, I suppose, as well. Like, it's an absolute superstar as well. And the fact that we get to see him later on the year when we go up to Croke Park as well and stuff, playing up there as well, it's brilliant for Ulster hurling, I suppose. And then Carl Cunning as well, like, really, really good player as well. Has been serving for Antrim for many years now as well. So the fact that we're getting a new team from Ulster, I suppose, representing Ulster in Croke Park, look, it's absolutely brilliant as well. And look, it is great to see the Antrim sides continue, because look, Antrim have given so much entertainment in the last few years in the league, everything as well, the few upsets that they have provided. So to see an Antrim side as well, and particularly Dunloy as well, after winning so much in Antrim and never really getting that shot in the last couple of years to go and represent the county in Croke Park, look, I think it's brilliant for both them and Antrim.
Yeah, I mean, you're absolutely right about the entertainment. Like, they've been entertaining us now for 2 years, definitely since Darren Gleeson came back in. They've been hugely entertaining. I mean, our first ever video, they beat Clare. Do you remember that? Like, everybody, that was their announcement that they had arrived. And I mean, now Dunloy, obviously Ulster Club hurling champions, are going to be walking around with a swagger. They've beaten a side that a lot of people wouldn't have fancied them to beat. They're going in now against the St. Thomas's side, Galway champions, 5 in a row Galway champions. But it did take them 2 goals to beat Loughrea. And having seen how close Slaughtneil pushed Ballygunner last year, Dunloy are coming into this again in a very happy position because they're going to be flying under the radar. People will expect St. Thomas's to beat them because they have the likes of Conor Cooney, they have the likes of Aina Burke. But I think I'd be quite happy if I was in Dunloy's camp right now. They got nothing to lose and everything to gain.
Yeah, well, look, I think that's the thing is that, like, with no disrespect to St. Thomas's, that if Dunloy would want to play any team left in the competition, it would be St. Thomas's, and it would be St. Thomas's by a mile. So, like, I'd say they'd be quite happy that the way that it is this year is that we've got Connacht versus Ulster and then Leinster versus Munster. So no, look, I think they'll be quite happy that they've got St. Thomas's. That they'll be probably going in and they won't have a huge amount of fear of St. Thomas's. I think that, look, St. Thomas's have came through Galway, which, look, obviously the standard is very, very high in Galway, but they don't have the provincial to get them ready for this as well. That they're going straight from a Galway final into this as well. They didn't look like hugely impressive, I don't think, in there as well. That they're not scoring probably as freely as what they had in previous years. But then at the same time, there is an awful lot of talent. There's an awful lot of talent in that St. Thomas's side, and that, look, it is going to be a huge old task for Dunloy. I think the challenge for them is, look, they were playing on pitches up there in Ulster as well and stuff as well, tough conditions, and we'll be transferring that onto Croke Park pitch, where, well, it's what I imagine will be either Croke Park or Thurles, probably Croke Park, going onto a top quality pitch as well, where the game's going to be a whole lot faster probably than what it was against Slaughtneil as well. And look, they'll be coming up against a very conditioned St. Thomas's side that, look, have been there before on, like, in these grounds as well, and have had big games there too. I'd maybe still be leaning towards St. Thomas's just because of all that experience and, look, that bit of firepower. But look, you're completely right in saying that they will have absolutely no fear of St. Thomas's whatsoever, and that, like, they're in a good position coming in as well. And look, they couldn't have asked for a better draw. I would be leaning towards St. Thomas's, but, like, I do think it will be a close enough game.
Yeah, I mean, St. Thomas's are off the back of completing the 5 in a row. Will there be an element of, job done, we've won the 5? Obviously, I'm thinking that they have eyes on the All-Ireland Club Championship, but will there be somewhere in the head where they're thinking we've already done a great deal this year? With Dunloy and with Antrim hurling, there does seem to be this pure drive to just take it as far as they absolutely can. Darren Gleeson has really set the trend there with the Antrim hurling team, that he wants absolute perfection, and I'm sure Dunloy are the same. St. Thomas's 5 in a row, but by God, Loughrea took them to the absolute pin of their collar in the first game and indeed in the replay. So how much St. Thomas's recover before the semi-final will be absolutely crucial. The knocks that they've picked up, etc.